Now let's get into a little bit of good news here with our next story regarding Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. There is a lot of people talking this guy's going to run. Before we jump into the story, I do want to talk about a little bit of a problem that we have here within our own party, in the Republican Party, or a potential problem, is if you have Ron DeSantis and Donald Trump running against each other, the fear is this, that Trump is going to just go after Ron DeSantis, and then that's going to lead him to have to go after Trump, right? They're basically going to be boxing each other, bringing each other down, and just completely shellacking each other, and we can't have that. So this is kind of a fear that a lot of Republicans are starting to see if Ron runs here, and so does Donald Trump, that it just could make the whole party look bad. It could divide the party because a lot of people love Trump, including myself, but hell, a lot of us, including myself, love Ron DeSantis too. One of them is going to be the primary, right? So if you make one look bad, let's say Trump did win the primary. He's just completely obliterated Ron DeSantis in terms of saying mean and hurtful things, which happens in primaries. Then we need Ron to step up in 2028 and run during that time, since Trump only has 4 years left. But you just shellacked and you divided the Republican Party and made Ron look bad. So all I'm saying is that we could have a potential here of a really bad problem coming up in 2024 with Trump versus Ron DeSantis. You need one or the other. Ideally, personally, I would rather have Ron DeSantis than Trump. Trump has a lot of baggage. The Democrat Party doesn't like him, which it doesn't matter so much what I think of the Democrat Party, but there's a lot of those independents, those that are middle, that we can pull over to our side with Ron DeSantis running. And Ron DeSantis is polished. His messaging is a lot better than Trump's. He's basically a Trump 2.0. He's an upgrade. And look what he's done in Florida, folks. He's done a lot of great things, and we can expect a lot of great things from him in the White House. So me personally, I would like to see Ron DeSantis over Trump. That doesn't mean I'm not a Trump fan. Doesn't mean I wouldn't vote for Trump. I voted for Trump twice. I love the man. I even got my own impression of him. It's not good. But again, I am a Trump person. If it's Trump, I will vote for him. But if it's Trump versus Ron, Ron's probably getting my vote. Well, here you have Ron DeSantis, a Republican, has issued a tweet listing the types of subjects schools should and should not be teaching. The governor declared that Sunshine State schools will educate rather than indoctrinate students, which I absolutely love. Those that are new to the show, I'm a teacher myself. I teach high school mathematics. Now, there's a lot of indoctrination that I've seen happening in the school system, specifically the public school system, where they'll teach that socialism is good, communism isn't that bad. They'll consistently rip on capitalism, which is why you get these Marxists coming out of the school system. And let's be honest, that's been happening for decades. That's been happening basically since the 60s, maybe earlier, regarding this indoctrination. That's why you got these young kids coming out that are acting as Marxists. I mean, you had Thomas Sowell come out as a Marxist as well early on, I think starting at like 16. He took Milton Friedman's course. Milton Friedman is like one of the main guys for capitalism and free markets, and he still came out as a Marxist. So, you know, there wasn't many things that changed. According to Thomas Sowell, the thing that changed him was working for the government, and so the government sucks at everything. So this is the indoctrination type of stuff they're pushing, like CRT, like capitalism is bad, America's bad, and they do that through CRT. They're trying to trans your kids. They're pushing sexual content, all sorts of things. Quote, as students head back to their classrooms this fall, I'm happy to clear up any confusion the media may have about appropriate curriculum. DeSantis tweeted listing math, reading, writing as approved subjects, but critical race theory, sexualized content, and transgender ideology as disapproved topics. Florida schools will educate children, not indoctrinate them. The tweet earned basically acclaim. A lot of people looked at it and approved of it on their social media. Responding to Governor's post, Parents Defending Education founder and president Nikki Niley tweeted that is exactly what parents want. Yeah, it's not hard, but for some reason, the progressive left, the Democrat Party wants to groom these kids and guide them along their transition by confusing them. We've seen drag shows performed where literally kids are taking their lunch money and putting it in the G-string of these men that are dressed as women that are basically performing things that you would see at a strip club, and they're tipping them for this stuff. And the schools know about it and they're completely fine with it. Granted, some schools don't know about it, but this is what's going on. People are teaching CRT, critical race theory, in the classroom. Then you got people like Malcolm Nance going on Bill Maher's show with Ben Shapiro, just saying, "Oh well, you don't want slavery to be taught in the classroom," as if who the hell said that? We're all okay with that, but what we're not okay with is you telling white kids that even if they think that they're not racist, they still in fact are racist and should be apologizing for their racism. I mean, it goes even a step further than that, of just the sheer fact of teaching that America is inherently racist and all institutions have racism interwoven within it that suppress black people and people of color. And furthermore, they're going to teach people starting at second grade in New Jersey on how to teach them through cartoons on how to masturbate. Furthermore, they're going to use school psychologists and put Planned Parenthood clinics on campuses. This is active. Everything I'm saying is actively happening right now. To put Planned Parenthood clinics on campus to refer your children, unbeknownst to you, to go help with their gender reassignments, whether that's getting the actual lopping off of their boobs or their genitals, to all the way of freaking getting hormone enhancers, puberty blockers, Plan B, contraceptives, all these things unbeknownst to you. So this is the stuff they want to peddle and push within our education system. The progressive left and Democrat Party is all for it. But why should we rationalize anything regarding the Democrat Party right now with everything that's going on from this Biden administration and the Democrat Party with abortion, illegal immigration, foreign policy, domestic policy, economic policy? Everything they touch just goes down the drain. Literally, the Democrat Party, everything they practically touch nowadays goes down the drain. Very similarly, practically everything the federal government touch goes down the drain as well. Quote, we need 49 governors who are just like Ron DeSantis, someone else tweeted. Quote, why I moved to Florida, someone else declared. Earlier this year, DeSantis signed legislation that prohibits teaching about sexual orientation and gender identity in kindergarten through third grade. Folks, just, you heard me on that. Kindergarten through third grade. And the left is losing their mind over that. The sheer fact that Ron DeSantis wants to prohibit teaching about sexual orientation and gender identity from kindergarten to third grade, and they lost it. Did protests, took to the streets because they couldn't groom these kids early on. We did a TikTok the other day where you had this preschool teacher talking about how you need to get all this indoctrination in their minds before the age of 4, or else it's too late. So if you don't groom these kids early on, which makes sense why they're upset about this legislation that Ron DeSantis put in place, because they've lost their chances on indoctrinating these kids. They lost their chances on trying to confuse them and make a biological male think he's a female and dressing him up in skirts and all this weird stuff, which has happened as well, unbeknownst to parents. Quote, classroom instruction by school personnel or third parties on sexual orientation or gender identity may not occur in kindergarten through third grade, or in a manner that is not age appropriate or developmentally appropriate for students in accordance with state standards. Now, notice the word develop, because the left doesn't understand that the cognitive brain is still forming. That frontal lobe that deals with reason and all sorts of other matters hasn't fully developed either. And so that's why they want to start indoctrinating these kids. But at the same time, hey, these kids are able to know who they are at birth, folks. They know if they're a boy or a girl. They know if they're non-binary. They know if they're a fox or a kitty cat and all these weird things early on. That's not how it works. If anybody's had a damn kid, like I haven't had kids, and I can observe other kids and they are able to tell. Furthermore, sex is objective. You can look at genitals, you can look at the person and dictate what they are. There's two genders, there's male and female. Sorry, folks. If you don't like that, hey, you know what? Then that's just reality, and you got to deal with the reality. Sometimes reality sucks. Gender and male and female doesn't suck whatsoever. It just is what it is, okay? According to the left, though, dealing with that, it sucks. So that's why I meant reality might suck for some because they have to deal with it of something of which they disagree with. Welcome to the world. The governor also signed legislation that prohibits promoting certain concepts to students and employees at institutions of public education, such as the idea that a person's moral character or status as either privileged or oppressed is necessarily determined by his or her race, color, national origin, or sex. In a nutshell, what he's talking about is critical race theory. Or that a person, by virtue of his or her race, color, national origin, or sex, is inherently racist, sexist, or oppressive, whether consciously or unconsciously. So again, talking about CRT without actually just talking about CRT plainly by saying, oh, well, CRT shouldn't be taught in schools. He's actually going a step further and being more specific. Quote, no one should be instructed to feel as if they are not equal or shamed because of their race. I mean, you would think that this would be obvious, right? But this is stuff the left want to push and peddle upon your kids. In Florida, we will not let the far left woke agenda take over our schools and workplaces. There's no place for indoctrination or discrimination in Florida. But if you look at California, they're all for it. They're all for the discrimination, indoctrination, and the craziness and the shenanigans, which will be the death of this country from the inside out. The governor, who has become an enormously popular figure on the political right, is currently running for re-election in the state's 2022 gubernatorial contest. Now, that's partly the reason why I'm not sure if he will run in 2024, is because he is doing such a great job as a governor in Florida. I forgot, there was a gentleman that left me a comment that was talking to me on the side about the way the governorship is done in Florida, and I want to say it was only for two consecutive terms. And so if this is his second consecutive term, then once this term is done, then he would be able to run in 2028. And that was kind of a lot of people's thinking in Florida. Hopefully I'm not getting that wrong. That conversation was a while ago. If you're the one that left me that, let me know in the comment down below in this video. But I think that was one of the reasons why he might not be running. DeSantis' press secretary, Christina Pushaw, responded by tweeting, "Just teach math, reading, writing, academic subjects, not queer theory or race essentialism. This isn't difficult." It's not difficult. But for some reason, for the progressive left, it just must be taught to these kids. It just has to be taught to these kids, because if it's not, then, what kind of service are we really bringing them? Yes, lopping off their tits, giving them puberty blockers, hormone enhancers, all these things. Yeah, I know, you're really giving them a great service. There's no need for confusion. Just stop teaching sexual orientation and gender identity to teach kids in kindergarten through 3rd grade. That shouldn't be a difficult task, Natalie tweeted. Teachers would rather get fired than obey Florida law, says schools. Gay kindergarten teacher on Florida law guarding parental rights. This is the stuff they're pushing, where teachers still, even though it's against the law, will still push this stuff upon kids. If there's a law mandated, I'm following it. It is not worth losing my career. Furthermore, it is odd, again, this is coming from a teacher's perspective, to be talking about sexual things with students. And that includes gender within itself. I'm a math teacher. I'm there to teach you certain subjects. Sometimes it does get political, because I also teach finance as well. And there are political things that affect your finances, of which, if a president increases taxes, usually that's not a good thing on your finances. The less money in your pocket always is not a good thing. So those types of things arise. But if a student came up to me like, "Can I talk to you about my gender and my change and I'm confused and all this stuff," whatever it may be, I'll say, I apologize. You need to have a conversation with your parent. I don't feel comfortable having that conversation with you. It's not that hard. Just end the conversation. You're the one with the power in the classroom to start or end conversations. But for some reason, these teachers just want to push it upon these kids as if it's life or death. It's not worth it. Nor do I want to have that conversation. It's freaking awkward and weird. They're not my kids. Have that conversation with your parent. Don't even bother asking. I'm just there to teach you. I'm not there to be your friend. I'm there to be kind and to guide you along in your academics, to teach you the best way I possibly can so that you can be successful in your life, regardless of gender, regardless of race, regardless of how you feel. I am there just to set you up and help you be successful in life through mathematics. And that is my job. And as long as I do that job well and that you are successful in life, then my job has meaning. My job has purpose. My meaning and purpose is not to help you find your identity in terms of you classifying yourself as a male or female. I apologize, it's not. There's other avenues to go get those answers. Start with your parents. Your parents should be guiding you and helping you along that process, not teachers, not psychologists from the school administration without parental involvement, not a school administrator, not all these things. You need to start with your parents first. Trust your parents. They're there to love you. They're there to help you. They're there to guide you and raise you. You got to just seek after them first before you start seeking after all these other people thinking your parents don't know best. And parents, for some reason, there's a generation where they want to get confirmation from somebody else rather than confirmation from their parents, even though they got confirmation from their parents already. You see this all the time of like a student walking up, "Should I get a job? I'm really thinking about getting a job. I'm just giving you something basic that happens in real life." And my follow-up is always this. "Well, what'd your parents say?" "Well, my parents think I should get a job." Yeah, you should get a job, right? It's an easy position for me as a teacher to say, yeah, you should get a job, is just follow along with whatever the parent says. I mean, if the parent says get a job, then yeah, get a job. You should. They're your parents. They're there to guide you, help you, raise you. I'm not there to raise you. I'm helping to guide you and help you along your academics strictly. So I know I'm repeating myself, but I want to be clear and give you kind of a teacher's perspective of what goes into my mind when a student asks me an oddball question or something. Majority of the time, it's, what did your parents say? Have you talked to your parents about this? And I always say, hey, why don't you follow up with your parents? They're there to help you and guide you. So always instruct through the student or the child, whoever you're dealing with, to go to the parents, and that's the correct way about it. I hope you enjoyed that clip from the Bald Brad Show. If you did, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date on all our future content.